G'day people. Today I'm going to be finishing my amazing recipe for pizza. Pizza il Toro Cioccolato. A Martian invention, which I started last night. But first, it's a pretty warm day here in Portland. It's time for a Murphy's. I don't know how many of you like Irish stout, but I know there's a few out there that do. I certainly do. And you know, I do like Guinness, but I also like Murphy's. So hang on, I'll get the specs. Tell you something about Murphy's. Does it say anything? It does not. Really? Doesn't bloody tell you anything. Incredible. Just tells you the names of importers, but doesn't tell you where it's brewed. But I'm pretty sure Murphy's is brewed in Cork. Pretty sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Taste that dark roasted malted barley. The dark malt. Almost burnt, eh? You love it or you hate it, I suppose. I love it. I've been to Ireland and I love it. And I first tried Murphy's in Ireland. Really liked it. It's very much like Guinness, but a bit smoother. Guinness has got that sort of stale taste. I've heard a theory that they mix in some stale porter with the fresh stuff to give it a distinctive flavour. It seemed bizarre to me. I don't know if it's a true story, but it certainly tastes a bit that way. You know, it does taste a little bit stale at times. Guinness, not completely, just a little bit. But this doesn't. This is just smooth. Like Guinness, but smoother. Really good. Love it. It was available, normally you can't get it in Australia, but it was available through Aldi, because you know Aldi do topical things during the year, like St. Paddy's Day is just a week away, so they get in a store of Guinness and Murphy's just for that one day. And if I see it, I buy it. So I bought a slab of Murphy's, a slab of Guinness. Great stuff. Go the Irish. Alright, now, about a week or two, maybe is it 2 weeks or 10 days or something, anyway, a little while back, I did a reaction to a video from Vincenzo of Vincenzo's Plate and Johnny DiFrancesco of Quattrocento Gradi. And I did this reaction and I did a meta reaction, so I'm always commenting on their comments on someone else making pizza. And at the end, I challenged them. I challenged them to step outside their comfort zone and try something different. And that different thing was chocolate. I challenged them both to make a recipe that features chocolate. Features chocolate for cooking. This is 70% cocoa solids, 70%, well I guess mostly cocoa butter. And it's an incredible ingredient. Anyway, I made this challenge. I'll just show you the challenge. Here it is.
And you guys, you're very good at the tradition, but you can't free your minds. You're in chains, you know? in chains, cartene, you know, you're held down by the tradition. It's a great tradition, but if you're a real chef, if you want to call yourself a real chef, you've got to be able to create something new, something different, you know? Build on the tradition. Or forget the tradition and go some completely different direction, discover a whole new field of cooking. Like, you know, Johnny, discover a whole new world of pizza. But you're never going to do it when all you do is cook margaritas and Vincenzo. You're never going to do it. All you do is cook bloody spaghetti alla morne and copy your nana's meatballs. I mean, I'm sure they're great, but do something original. I mean, I create original stuff all the time. Sure, I'm a nobody, but I've got a whole book full of original recipes, you know. And now some of them are up on my channel, and you can check them out. You know, I've made a contribution. Haven't made money, but I've made a contribution to the culinary world. Anyone can look at these and make my recipes. So, here's a challenge for you two traditionalists. Make something new and good with chocolate. So, Johnny, make a chocolate pizza. Something that's good, not some throwaway garbage, but make a good chocolate pizza. There's a challenge. Vincenzo, make a good chocolate pasta. Right? Challenge. Now, if you want to call yourself a chef, I want to see a decent result in the next month. You know? Have a bloody go. This is Australia. We don't have to stick to tradition in this country. Have a bloody go. Do something new. Show some creativity. Alright? So I look forward to see whether you do anything. If you haven't got the creative spark or the balls to try it in a month, I'll fucking come along and do it myself just to prove to you guys what a true chef really is. Okay, over and out. So, you know, that was, I don't know, getting on for 2 weeks ago. And after I'd done it, I thought, I was lying in bed thinking, well, you know, I've talked to Talk. I've said, if they're not prepared to do it, I'll do it myself. So I talked to Talk about, can I walk the walk? How would I actually go about it, you know? And in particular, you know, how would I go about both of these things? How would I make chocolate pasta? How would I make chocolate pizza? You know, without turning into a joke, make something really good. I started thinking about it. And one of the things I was thinking about was, you know, the Aztecs, the Mexicans. Mexicans who invented chocolate, or invented the process for making chocolate, and they cook with it. And they don't necessarily use sweet chocolate, don't use sugar in it. So they put it with things like meat. Which sounds like an incredible idea. And we don't do it in Australia. But we could. Nothing's stopping us from doing it. So I started thinking, you know, I'll pursue that. And then I was also thinking about things I could do with pasta. But obviously the things you want to do with pasta are not the same things you want to do with pizza. You've got a lot more things you can do with pasta, because pasta you can use water. But you can't use water on a pizza, at least other than in the dough itself, but you can't use water. You can't boil things. Yeah, very much more limited to what you can do with a pizza. So I found it quite tricky to come up with things. I mean, I'm sure there are other things you could do with pizza. But anyway, I was basically concentrating on this idea of meat. Different with the pasta, I had a lot of different ideas, and I'll talk about those ideas in my pasta video. Anyway, the point is,
put up or shut up, the great Australian tradition, put up or shut up. So this is me putting up. I've talked the talk, it's time to walk the walk. So I'll show you, so I had the idea of using brisket, beef brisket. Anyway, I'll show you the clip where I cooked up the brisket and put in the choc. Hey people, here I am experimenting with the idea of chocolate beef stew. Now, when I was wondering about, I was asking myself, you know, how can I use chocolate in ordinary cooking, you know? How can I make a chocolate pizza? How can I make chocolate pasta? And you know, straight away I thought about the Mexicans. You know, the Aztecs used to, and still do, use chocolate in their savoury cooking. You know, and they make. My understanding is they make chocolate chicken stew, and they probably make lots of things like that. But we don't have that. We don't have exposure to that in Australia. I mean, I guess you'd probably have to be in Mexico to really get that. But just the fact that I know that it exists stimulated me to want to try it. You know, want to try what is it like, chocolate and chicken. Well, I tried pan frying some chicken breast, pan fried with mushrooms and chocolate. Didn't really do it. Didn't really work. So I thought, well, the problem there is I think the problem there is the water in the water that comes out of the chicken and the water that comes out of the mushroom. You know, it doesn't combine well with the chocolate. Just wash my hands a little bit. Wash the onion off my hands. Doesn't combine well with the chocolate. So I thought the problem there is that it's been cooked too fast. Chicken breast, you cook them fast, right? It's too fast. It hasn't got time. The chocolate hasn't got time to really properly incorporate with everything. So I started thinking what we need is a long, slow cook. You know, a long, slow stew. You know, and I was thinking, well, I didn't really like the way that the chicken went with the chocolate, and chicken's not a great thing to stew anyway. I mean, I'm sure there's people who won't disagree with me about that, but that's what I think. I don't think it's a great thing to stew. So the best thing to stew is lamb or beef. But if you're going to stew lamb or beef, you want the forequarter. The forequarter's become very unfashionable these days, except in high-priced restaurants where all of a sudden it's a ridiculous price. But the ordinary person on the street, ordinary poor person like me, you never see it. Like Aldi simply don't stock lamb or beef forequarters. Tough luck. It's not their problem, you know. They don't want to stock it, they don't stock it. I'll sharpen this knife, a bit blunt. And you can go to Woolworths and they give you a tiny little selection of, quote, stewing steak, unquote. And what is it? You don't know. Sometimes they'll sell you a bit of blade. You might get a bit of chuck. But anyway, I was thinking, what I want is some brisket. Brisket for the brisket. But of course, you won't get brisket from Woolworths, probably, unless they've got a special thing on. you won't get it. So I went to the butcher, and the butcher was good enough. He had a big, massive lump of it, you know. I think they maybe have the massive lumps because they, some of those American cooking shows, you know, where they have a long, barbecued, smoked and barbecued brisket, you know, it's the popular thing. Some of those American cooking shows. So maybe that's what he's aiming for. So there's probably Australians who like to do that. Make a long, slow barbecue of brisket. Why not? So I'm not going to barbecue it, I'm going to stew it. Stuart McTavish. Stuart McLean. Going to stew it for a long time. And when it's all stewed, I want it to be, you know, virtually, I want it to have almost no structure by the end, right? I want it to be melt in your mouth, full of flavour is what I want. Full of flavour, melt in your mouth, not much water, hardly any water, and yeah, I don't want it fibrous or I mean there can be a bit of fibre there, but I want it to be really easy to eat, Because I'm thinking, you know, I might, if I'm going to put it on top of a pizza, the idea is to put the chocolate in, let the chocolate incorporate. Hopefully it'll taste good. If it doesn't, too bad. If it doesn't, too bad. Now this is the thing, people. Cookery. Experimentation. If you're like me, you get fired up about the idea of things, right? I've got an idea in my head. I've got an idea that might work, you know, like beef and chocolate might work. You know, or it might not. But part of my head thinks it's going to work. Like I can visualise in my head that it's going to work. I can visualise this rich beef stew. It's going to go with savoury chocolate. The chocolate I'm using, 70% cocoa. 70% cocoa, people, and there's not much sugar in it, and it's overwhelming chocolate, right? Overwhelmingly strong. So that could go well with, I'm thinking, it could go well with the beef. Once it's stewed right down. And the fat, I mean, it's cocoa butter, it's fat, right? The fat will incorporate into the meat, and the flavours should possibly hopefully the flavours will harmonise, right? That's what I'm thinking. Now I could be wrong. Maybe I will be wrong. And I've tried a bunch of things. Maybe I'll be wrong. But if you don't try, you'll never know. So, if you want to explore cuisine, after you've cooked a bunch of stuff, followed a bunch of recipes, branch out on your own. Try something new. I mean, if you have the talent, the cuisine will speak to you, food will speak to you and go, hey, why don't you try mixing this with this? Why don't you try doing this and this? This could really work, right? That's the key. If you've got that, you're a composer, you know, a food composer, a recipe designer, whatever you want to call it, a culinary genius, whatever you want to call it. If you've got that thing in you that, where you get inspiration, you know, get inspiration and start cooking. Give it a bloody go, mate. Give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You're wasting some ingredients. Don't experiment with, if you've got a dinner party or something, don't experiment. only experiment on yourself, or people that you trust who understand that you're experimenting and they don't expect it to work all the time, because it isn't always going to work. I guarantee you, you'll have a lot of failures, but that's the price. You got to try things out, you know, and sometimes they won't work. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Sometimes they won't work, but sometimes they will. And it's well worth it to have 9 failures to have 1 brilliant success. That 1 brilliant success completely outweigh the 9 failures. Now in my case, my ratio is better than that. I've probably got, for every brilliant success, I've probably got 4 or 5 failures. So not too many, but yeah, they do fail. So they don't always work, you know. And then when they don't work, you've got to look at them and go, well, why didn't it work? What was wrong? What was wrong? What did I do something wrong, or it just simply doesn't work? The recipe just simply doesn't work. The fundamental principles don't work. You know, such and such really doesn't go with that. You know, maybe I'll find out here that beef and chocolate don't go together. You know, maybe I'll find that out, but I'm not going to find it out unless I try. So I'm having a go. Have a bloody go, mate. Right. So the plan is, I'm just going to let them stew, and I won't put any salt in yet. Oh, I'm going to put some chili. Yeah, do I put chili in? I'll put a little bit of chili. I mean, in my master plan, I envisage chili being in it. And I know from experience that chili certainly won't ruin the chocolate. Things that ruin the chocolate are salt. Be very careful with salt and chocolate. Really don't mix salt and chocolate. I know there's this stupid idea that salt and chocolate work. In my opinion, they don't work. Needs any water really, but I'll just put a little bit. I'll just put a little bit of water, put the lid on, and I'll just let it simmer away for 2 hours, at least 2 hours. It's going to be a long, slow cook. We'll come back in a couple of hours and see what it looks like. All right. Now it took a while. It took 3 hours. Well, not quite 3 hours, but nearly 3 hours. But after getting on for 3 hours, the stew finally broke down. Hang on, let's get the phone. Alright, let's have a look at what this breakdown looks like. It finally broke down. You can see it's just fibres. It's no longer chunks. And there's not really much in the way of water, and even the fat. Even the fat isn't visible anymore. So you put the brisket on. I cut it up as you saw, and it was just chunks. It was chunks of brisket, and for 2.5 hours it was chunks of brisket sitting in plenty of fluid. And then all of a sudden, it just breaks down, and you pat it with a spoon, and the chunks just melt away into just fibres. So let's have a taste. Very simple taste, but yeah, good, beefy, right? So I put some chocolate in. I'll put some chocolate in. I'll just bring it back up to temperature. I've been down the lagoon having a walk. So that was just brisket with a tiny little bit of water at the start just to stop it burning. A lot of water came out as it cooked. But when it turns into fibre, when it breaks down into fibres, reabsorbs the water and reabsorbs the fat and all that flavour. Just gets reabsorbed. It's quite an amazing process. But you have to wait. Slow cook, 3 hours. 3 hours slow. So I've got the chocolate in, and the chocolate will just melt into the stew there. And I just want to taste it. I want to taste what it's like. Whether it needs salt or not. So back in a sec. I'll just wait for that to heat up a bit. All right. It's hot. It's getting hot now. Now I just put some chocolate in, probably about 1 row. Now I can smell the chocolate, but it's still predominantly beef flavour. So I'll just put another row in. I don't want the chocolate to completely dominate, but on the other hand, I do want a strong flavour of chocolate. This is the 70% cocoa. So 70% cocoa, is most of the rest probably sugar, but the cocoa is so strong, and that the sugar amounts to bugger all, really. Hardly any, you won't even taste it. Compared to, like milk chocolate, which is mostly sugar. Mostly sugar and milk, but this is mostly chocolate, so you only really taste the chocolate, you don't really taste anything else. Alright, so it's melting in. Interesting working with chocolate, the way that it melts into things. It's got a melting point of, I don't know, 50 degrees or something. 40 degrees, whatever it is. Certainly 50 degrees Celsius, you'd certainly be melting in. And this is great, this brisket, it's got a lot of flavour, a lot of beefiness about it. Taste of beef. Now I'm thinking it probably does need some salt. But my experiments so far with chocolate have been that salt and chocolate don't really work. But maybe a little bit's alright. Maybe a little bit's alright. I'll just put a few more squares in. And just a little bit of salt. I think it needs a little bit. I don't want to overdo it. Now I can't taste the chilli. I did put chilli in at the start, but I can't taste it. Maybe I should have put more in. Oh, this is really looking. It's really looking the business. It's got a fantastic colour. I like it. One of the problems I had with doing pasta, chocolate pasta, is the look. It just looks bizarre, Dark brown pasta just looks wrong. But when it comes to a stew like this, yeah, see how there's no liquid. I scrape along the bottom, and you can just see the bottom of the pan. It stays like that. Right. So I think this is okay. The look, the dark brown look with the beef stew, I think is okay. It won't be a problem. Yeah, we're getting somewhere now. Really getting somewhere now. So this is great because the strong flavour, the strong beef flavour, is balanced by the strong chocolate flavour. I've been looking for flavours that can compete with chocolate because chocolate is so strong. Really, really strong flavour. If you've never cooked with it, you'll be in for a shock. Very, very strong. Very dominating flavour. Tricky to deal with unless you know how to deal with it. But I think this is working. So I think a little bit more salt. I'm just going very carefully here. I don't want to overdo it. Going very carefully, keeping it warm. Just trying to make sure. No, it smells good. I can smell it. I'm smelling the chocolate now. This is really good. Really good. This is a winner. I'm going to go just a little bit more chocolate. I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to underdo it either. I want to make sure. That it's really, that you really notice the chocolate. So, I mean, it's going to be the selling point of this dish, the chocolate. Yeah, I think I've got it. I think this is it. So I can put this on anything. I could put this on pasta. I can put this on pizza. I could put it on rice. It's a winner. It'll go on anything. Absolute winner. And I'm definitely going to put it on pizza because I can't think of anything else that I can really put on pizza. You know? Like I can do that. I've got ideas for pasta which don't have to involve the meat, but when it comes to pizza, I think it does have to involve the meat. I mean, I can't really think of anything else that I can do with pizza and chocolate that'll actually work. That doesn't involve meat. Anyway, this is it. I've hit the jackpot. This is the absolute bomb. This is the absolute bomb. Very, very beefy. Fantastic beef flavour. Fantastic beef flavour. All that fat and fluid from the meat went back into from the brisket went back into the meat once it collapsed. So it's got stacks of flavour. It really tastes like beef. And the chocolate, it's right up there too. Really complements it. Complements it amazingly well. It's incredible. Man, that is incredible. Doesn't need anything else. Wouldn't add anything else to it. I mean, it's got onion, which cooked down to nothing long ago. Beef and chocolate and chili, and that's it. You can't even taste the chili, but it's incredible. Incredible, the flavour in that, man. It's really rich, beefy flavour, beefy, chocolatey flavour. It's incredible. It's not sweet. You don't taste the sweet. If anything, you taste the bitterness of the chocolate. There's quite a lot of chocolate in there. Quite a lot. Like, is that 4 rows? Put 4 rows of chocolate. Quite a bit of chocolate. At least 4 rows. So, yeah, it's strongly chocolatey. Strongly chocolatey, strongly beefy. It's going to be great. It's going to be great on a pizza. It's going to be great with rice. Fantastic. Alright. Fascinating. Really did taste amazing. And this is, I've just had it sitting in the fridge overnight. I'll reheat it in a sec, and we'll get cracking with the chocolate beef pizza. Chocolate beef pizza anyway. So what we're going to do first, so that's ready, it just needs to be heated up, and I'll just spread it on top of the pizza. So all I got to do now, it's basically done, all I got to do is make the dough, put it on top, bake it, Bob's your uncle. I'll just turn the oven on. I use about 220 degrees. Because I use a thick crust, I use about 220 degrees. Now the way I make pizza dough is very different to the traditional way. It's completely different. The way I see it, there's two ways to do it. There's the slow way, which is the traditional way, and there's the fast way. Now I'll be talking about, I'll go into more depth about the whole business between the two ways to do it in my Martian pizza video, which I'll make in a week or two. I'll make it. So just for the moment, just accept that I'm doing this in a way that's not traditional. I know it's not traditional. I'm happy that it's not traditional. I don't care, as long as it works. Because ultimately, the only thing that matters is your pizza any good, mate? Does it suck, mate? Does it taste right? Does it look right? You know, these are the things that matter. Everything else, how you got there, really in the end, doesn't matter. So there's the long, slow process that people like Johnny DiFrancesco and it's the whole Italian pizza school. You know, it takes you more than a day to make a pizza from go to woe. But from go to woe, for me, it's going to be an hour and a half. Completely different. You know, and you'll understand it's completely different. And it does work. Believe it or not, it does work. Let's see. So I'll just set the timer. Let's set the timer. I don't know if I can find the timer. Eventually. Alright, the stopwatch. Here's the stopwatch. So I'll just let it run. And we'll see how long it takes. Now, cup and a half of flour. I've got the scales on here, so I'm going to weigh it. That's 110 grams. And that's another 110 and a bit, so it's 225 grams of flour. This, by the way, is a 3/4 of a cup. Most fantastically useful measuring cup that the idiots that make measuring cups don't make. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame that people that make stuff, like people who make cooking equipment, ultimately they're not cooks. Ultimately they're fucking accountants. And what do accountants know about cooking, you know? Sweet Fanny Angelina. So they don't know what's needed. They just assume, oh, well, you know, you can make 3/4 of a cup by having a half a cup and then a quarter of a cup. So we'll get a half a cup and a quarter of a cup, and then we'll do it again, get another half cup, another. Too much work, guys. Too much work. I don't want to do that work. I want 1 cup that's 3/4. Really useful amount, 3/4. Much more useful than 1/3. You could get rid of the 1/3 and put in a 3/4. You could, if you could be bothered, you people that invent this, that make this stuff. Anyway, 225 grams of flour, 1 heaped saltspoon of salt. I'll just get a spoon. This is Fermi pan yeast, fantastic stuff, instant yeast. 1 dessert spoon Fermi pan yeast. Keep it in the fridge. fridge, easily lasts for 6 months, can even last up to a year. Fantastic stuff. Right, and we just mix it up so that the salt and the yeast are well distributed, like so. And then we get, ooh, this is getting all very scientific. I don't normally do it this scientific. Normally I just bloody make it, but it's all the rage. You know, people are getting really scientific about their doughs. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of water. Now I'll just pop this thermometer in, which is bloody in Fahrenheit. Oh, for real? Now come on guys, how hard is it? I'm pressing a button that says Celsius to Fahrenheit. Why doesn't it bloody work? Alright. Alright, this water is at 47 degrees, which is a bit hot. 47 Celsius. It's a bit hot, seems like a bit hot, but I think it'll be fine. Right, so I'm just going to pop it in. Right, 155 grams of water. So it was 225 grams of flour to, what did I say? What did I say? That's water, I've forgotten already. Yeah. What was it? What was it? 150 or something? Was it 155 of water? Anyway, you can work out the hydration from that. In fact, I will work it out while I'm waiting for this to prove. I'll work it out and I'll tell you what it is. I'm guessing it's probably about 60%. About a guess. I mean, I'll get the actual figure later. Maybe just, it wasn't, you know, I like to have a full 3/4, and I think it might have been just shy. So I'm just going to add just a smidgen more. And we just whisk it around with your hands. Easy, easy. Honestly, making pizza dough, I've fallen off a log really, it's so easy. So bloody easy. Now, let's just put this back on the scale. Well, of course I've gone up as a flour, I'm stuck to me. So it's now saying 160. So 160 grams of water to 225 grams of flour, so you can work out the hydration from that. As you can see, it's quite sticky at the moment. So we just knead it. I mean, people have got their own kneading technique. I don't know why they do it their way. This is the best way. Use the heel of the hand, stretch the dough out. Yeah, this is nice and warm. Now, it's too warm for the traditionalists, but it's got to be warm. If you want your pizza in an hour and a half, it's got to be warm. You want it blood temperature. By the time this is finished, I want this dough to be blood temperature. I want it to be 36. Because that temperature is the most efficient temperature for yeast production, yeast functioning. You know, for those of you who don't know what yeast does, yeast eats the starch in the flour, eats it. And in the process, it farts out carbon dioxide. And it also grows, it also multiplies, right? So it eats the starch, it uses the water to build stuff, and it uses the proteins or whatever to build its cellular structure. But it eats the heats the starch, and it farts out carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide is a gas, and the gas is trapped when you work the dough like this. You work the dough, you knead the dough, you work it, and what you do is the protein in flour is little tiny, it's coiled up in coils, right? And you need to uncoil it. And that's what this does. The coils, you know, they're a bit like Velcro. They attach themselves to other coils, and when you stretch it, when you push it like this, you stretch those coils out. And you can see the stringiness of the flour structure. Gradually, those coils stretch out. And that's why you can see how much this ball of dough has changed since I started the kneading process. Look, looks like dough already, you know. It's the stuff, you know, it's the business. It's great. It's a nice warm day, by the way. Perfect day for making pizza. So, perfect day for yeast, because yeast likes blood temperature. Yeast likes it, you know, 35, 36 degrees. It loves it. If it's got plenty of food, it'll reproduce rapidly. It'll reproduce rapidly, it'll eat rapidly, and it'll fart out a lot of carbon dioxide. Anyway, so what happens is you work the dough, which makes a network of collagen fibres, which is a type of protein. Collagen's a protein. So you get this network of fibres, and that network, with water around it, it traps the CO2. That gas, the yeast farts, get trapped. They can't get out. And because they can't get out, they puff the dough up, the dough puffs up, and that's how you get rise. So if you didn't already know that, that's how bread works. That's why bread rises. Very good. So, you know, you can fuck around kneading the dough till the cows come home, really, truly. Look how clean my hands are, right? So when they started, it was quite sticky, but very, very quickly, the dough changes and it grabs hold of those little collagen fibres, grab hold of the dough that's in your hands, and they take them off your hands, and your hands, they clean your hands. And your hands are almost clean. I mean, almost clean. So, yeah, this feels like the right thing. So this is how much dough you need for a large pizza. It's not like making bread. Use a lot more flour when you're making proper bread. A lot more. Which is the idea of pizza, right? It's a way for poor people to save money, you know. Well, scarce resources, haven't got much flour, so you don't want to be wasting it. You don't want to waste it. Alright. Smells like bread dough. I can smell the yeast. I can smell it. And it's warmish. How warm is it? Shove that in there. 30 degrees. It's 30 degrees, which is okay. 30 degrees is alright. I would like it to be just a little bit more. So I might do an experiment. Actually, I've got to say, this whole thing's an experiment. I've never made this Toro Cioccolato. I've never made it before. This is the first time, so it could go wrong. I don't even know that's going to work. But I'm assuming it's going to work because, as you saw from that clip, when I made last night when I made the chocolate brisket, and it tasted fantastic. So I don't see how it can fail, quite frankly. I don't see how it can fail. It's got to work, unless I bugger up the pizza dough. You know, which is always possible. Pizza dough is a bit of a tricky thing. Like anyone that's made it, any beginner will know it's a tricky thing. But it's quite simple, really. You just have to make sure the temperature is right. Make sure your dough's right, made of the right stuff. Make sure your yeast isn't dead, and make sure the temperature. It's all about temperature. And today's nice and warm. Like it's 30 degrees. It's got to be at least 30 degrees inside here. So very good weather for baking. Very good weather for yeast. You know, the yeast will never be colder than the ambient temperature. So 30 degrees. That yeast is 30 degrees, and it'll never get colder. Now I was going to put it in the microwave, which you're going to think is madness. Is it madness? I reckon it's going to work. Microwave your dough. Now I would. I'm very keen to actually. Bugger it, let's do it. Let's just do it. It's crazy, but you know, why not? Why not? So I want it to be 36, it's currently 30, alright? It's 30 degrees, which is okay, but it'll still prove. It'll prove quite quickly at 30. But I want it just a little bit more, so I can give it 5 seconds. Five seconds, guys. Let's do it. Stop. Stop. Now, did 5 seconds make any difference? It did. It's now 32. It's now 32. Let's give it another 5. I give it another 5, it'll be 35, right? Alright. So that's a useful piece of calibration there. 10 seconds in the microwave will raise the temperature of one large pizza, and enough for one large deep pan pizza. It'll raise it by 5 degrees. We think. What does that say? 32, counting up, 33, try a different bit. 33, 34, 34.1. I'm happy. I reckon that's going to be 35, near enough. Near enough, 35. Right. So what you're supposed to do, at this point, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to let it prove. And the proving process will get the yeast going. I mean, the yeast is starting to go already, right? But the idea is when you're proving, it gets really firing at full throttle. It's farting as fast as it can. It's eating and farting as fast as it can. And the dough rises. In the case of bread, the dough rises, and then you can knock it back and do it again, which is what they normally do. Or if you do it my way, you're too lazy to knock it back, you don't bother. It rises, you put it in the oven. I mean, that is a simple way. It works for me. I like it. So normally I do just let it prove for 20 minutes or something, and then I'll knock it back, and then I'll roll it out to the right size, or stretch it out to the right size, put it back in here, and I'll assemble the pizza, And while I'm assembling the pizza, the dough will continue to proof. And it doesn't rise much in the on the bench. It doesn't rise much. You'd be lucky to see it rise at all. The amazing thing about pizza is if you get it right, when you put it in the oven it rises. It doesn't rise on the bench, it rises in a hot oven, which pizza ovens are supposed to be hot, you know. Like the proper pizza ovens are really hot, like 450 degrees Celsius. That's really hot. Like my oven doesn't even go to 300, only goes to 260. So, you know, 450 is way, way, way hotter than my oven. So there's no way I can reproduce the effects of a proper pizza oven in mine. Can't be done. But that's okay. It doesn't matter because I'm making it a thick crust. Thick crust, or you can call it deep pan. Stupid word, deep pan, because the pan's no deeper. It's exactly no deeper than it's the same pan whether you use thin or thick, you know. Stupid word. So that's rising, right? That's going mad. I'm not going to muck around. I'm going to get this in the pan post haste because, yeah, that is flying. Oh yeah, that's fermenting like crazy, like crazy. So I've done the right, I mean, as far as the do it quick school goes, which is going to offend a lot of traditionalists, but as far as the do it quick school goes, don't get quicker than that. Man, that's, you can see it, you saw it rising, right? You saw it rising right there. Incredible. Unbelievable. Now, when I put it in the pan, it's going to cool down a bit because the pan's going to be a bit cooler. Oh wow, yeah. And you can see also when the dough starts to really get active, like it is now. Like this is really live, really alive. You can really feel it because it gets softer. It gets much softer. But anyway, you can't muck around because if you leave it too long, it'll over ferment and destroy itself. It'll destroy its own structure, and you won't ever get a really good dough texture, dough structure. If you let it over ferment, it'll always be flat. You know, it won't really go. So this is great. This is absolutely maximum speed. So the microwave, that microwave really worked. See, experimentation. Experimentation is the key. If you want to be any good, or if you want to take the next level, like you can, if you want to be good and you want to follow some existing existing way of doing things, right? Like say you wanted to follow the Napolitano school of pizza making, right? That's fine. Go ahead and follow them. I mean, they've been doing their shit for 200 years. Tried and proven. So if you want to follow them, by all means go and follow them. But if you want to get to the next level, like if you want to exceed, if you want to go beyond what you've been taught, you can't do it by following existing principles. You've got to do something new. To do something new, you've got to experiment, which is what I'm all about here, what I'm trying to do here, which is, my God, this is amazing. You see that? See that? That's incredible. I've never seen stew like that. Man, because it's got chocolate in it, and it's been put in the fridge. Hang on, I've got to film this because it's too amazing. Oh, God, bloody stupid modern technology. Right, I've got to film this. You've got to see this to believe it. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
It's completely, it's like a block of, like a block of, I don't know, like a block of ice or something. It's the chocolate's all solidified. Here's the pizza dough, by the way. Wow. Oh, bloody stupid fucking phone. The number of times this happens where I think I'm filming it and I'm not, because stupid idiots that design the interface make it very difficult to know what the hell you're doing. Like, so there's two red things. You would think red would mean go, red would mean it's recording, but you know, and you know, maybe black means it's not recording. That's not the way the idiots work it. They don't work it like that. Both, if it's recording or if it's not recording, they're both red. So you don't know. I mean, one of them's square and one of them's a circle. That's the difference. Inside the red, there's a square or there's a circle. It's, you know, inefficient, bad design, typical of the modern age. People are fucking idiots. It shouldn't be a problem, but you know, some idiot. This is a Motorola phone, so is it an American idiot or is it a Chinese idiot? I don't know, but it's a bad decision, you know. It's not the way to do it, guys. It should be a big difference between record and stop, you know. It should be a big difference, not a small difference. I've got a small difference. I've made this mistake a bunch of times. Anyway, we're not going to worry about it. We're going to get on with the show. We're going to get on with the show. It's a race against time now, guys. So I've got to get this stew liquefied again. And as soon as it's liquefied, I'm going to spread it on top of this pizza. And then it's going in the oven. I've already got the oven set to 220, or is it 230? Amazing. So race against time. I can see this is already rising. I mean, that microwave has changed the game. It's changed the game. This has never happened to me before. I've never had such an active dough in my life, and my doughs are pretty active, but not this active. Wow, this is incredible. So, I'm going to liquefy that. Keep an eye on this, and I'll be back. Okay, people, I don't think I can wait too much longer here. I've just liquefied the, quasi-liquefied the stew. So it's now, it's 44 degrees. So I'm going to be in fact, it's 50 degrees, 51 degrees, which, you know, is a bit hot really, because I'm going to be putting it on top of this dough. And the dough's gone back to 30 degrees. As I said, you know, because they're putting it onto a cold pan, or a tray if you like. You're putting it onto a cold tray, so, well, not cold, but room temperature. So it dropped straight away back to 30 degrees, and you can see it's much less active now. So the difference in yeast activity between 30 degrees and 35 is big difference. Oh yeah. You wait. That stuff, it's the bomb. Really is good. Anyway, you can see
it is rising. But I've got a problem here in that if I let the stew cool too much, it's going to go on top of the dough, and at 50 degrees it's really too hot for the yeast. It'll start to kill the yeast. But if I let it cool down too much, it'll get too hard. It'll get solid, you know, and that's no good either. So it's a bit of a difficult balancing act. A bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for it. I can't delay it too long because, you know, this is very, very firm. This very, very firm. Look at it. It's amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. So I just want to quickly, of course, as soon as you spread it out, you're going to knock the dough back, which I don't really want to do, but what else am I going to do? Plus the extra heat is going to kill the yeast that's in the very top layer is going to get killed. The yeast that's further down will get excited. So maybe they'll counterbalance each other. The excited yeast and the dead yeast, you know, what you lose on one, you'll gain on the other. That's my thinking at the moment. That's the way I'm looking at it. Look at that. Now we've got good coverage. Turn on the camera. Have a look at it before it goes in. Really is incredible stuff. So the idea is oven spring will give me the lift I want from the dough. In we go. Now I'll come back in about 15 minutes and check how it's going. Alright, it's come out of the oven, but I'm not overly confident here. It doesn't look right. I haven't got the spring I was expecting. Yeah, I haven't got the oven spring I was expecting, so it's disappointing. I don't know what the problem was. I'll have to think about it later. But yeah, it's disappointing, and the stew looks a bit dark, you know, maybe it ended up burning the brisket. Although the stuff, it's only the surface layer that's burnt. No, I think, yeah, underneath it's fine. Underneath it's fine. Well, yeah, so it looks like I got something wrong with the crust. Yeah, this is, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not what I was hoping for. I don't think. Oh, well, maybe it's okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Pizza, there's a slice. Let's go right down and have a look at the structure of the dough. It looks alright. I mean, you can see plenty of air bubbles there. Maybe it is okay. Maybe it is okay. Just have a bit of a look around. Alright. Well, I got it to this point. So it tastes. Actually, you know what? That dough's not too bad. No, it's alright. Like it's half an inch thick. Didn't collapse. No. The beef and the chocolate, man, they are great. Beef and chocolate. I know you may be finding it hard to believe, but trust me. Oh yeah. Man, maybe the first bite. Oh, hang on. No, I didn't do. No, I didn't do. I didn't check the timer. Fuck me. Stand up straight, you pain in the ass. Right. You see that? 1 hour and 3 minutes. But in fact, 1 hour and 3 minutes, right? But in fact, I pulled it out more than 3 minutes ago, so it's actually an hour. So get your head around this, traditionalist, including Johnny DiFrancesco. From the time I started making the dough to the time I'm eating the pizza was 1 hour. Get it? 1 hour. And this dough is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, trust me, that's good. That's not garbage. I'll zoom in again, you can just see how thick that, see the rise? Hang on. See the rise? See the thickness of the dough? See the air bubbles, the air pockets? This dough is not a failure, this dough is a success. This dough is a success, this pizza is a success. Fuck yeah. I tell you, you try this, it'll blow your tiny mind. It'll blow your tiny mind right out of your eardrums. Wow. Never had anything like it. When you first bite into it, you think, what? What the hell's going on, man? What? Chocolate and beef and a pizza? What the fuck? Impossible. But I'm telling you, it's real. It's fucking real. Oh yeah. I'm telling you. All you traditionalists, oh, I've just got to eat it, man. I've got to eat it. Wow. Now, I worked out the hydration, 71%. 71% hydration, beautiful, right? Perfect. It's the first time I worked that out. I didn't know what my own hydration was. I just did it by feel. No, it's too dry, too wet. 71%, fantastic. This dough, you know, I was skeptical, but fuck me, it's really good. It's really good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now the only thing I could say, the top layer of beef and chocolate, the very top, is burnt. It's only the top layer. As soon as you get down below it, it's fine. So, I would say, you want a thick layer I think you want a thick layer of beef and chocolate. And that way, yes, the top layer, the skin will always be burnt. But underneath it, it won't be burnt. And the thicker that is, the less burn you'll have. Like the burn's not a major problem. It's not a major problem, but I can see if you want to be a perfectionist, that would be something you'd want to address. Oh, now, oh, you have no idea. Telling you, it's a fucking masterpiece. After this, you can call me a god. Stake my reputation on it. This is really good. I made it up. Fucking great. Mark my words. Fucking great. Really is. I mean, it's different. Fucking, it's very different, you know. Who puts stew on a pizza for fuck's sake? Oh. And who puts chocolate stew on a pizza? Only some fucking crazy Australian from southwestern Victoria. Some fucking lunatic. But you know what? That lunatic is onto something. Hey, you traditionalist. Remember when I put the dough in the microwave? Remember that? How about that for an idea? Fuck yeah. I'm right out there. Yeah, I know you're saying it. I'm right out there. I am right out there. This pizza is so different to the tradition. It's beyond comparison. It's just, it's a fucking, a different state. It's so far removed from margarita. It might as well be a different planet. Once you try it, my God, everyone's going to be wanting this. So good. Truly, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was worried about the crust, but actually the crust is fucking perfect. Fucking perfect, guys. 1 hour from when I started the dough to when I'm eating the pizza. 1 hour. Beat that. Who can beat that? Any of you? Not only was it 1 hour, it's fucking perfect. No, really, perfect. That dough is fucking great. Not flat anywhere. Bubbles right through the dough. You've got carbon dioxide bubbles right through it. I thought it was going to be higher, but actually, it's just perfect. My initial thoughts were, no, it's not high enough, but once I bit into it, I realised it was perfect. Your traditional method is not better. Your pizzas, traditionalists, your pizzas are not better. I'll bet you, sake my reputation, this is better than your pizzas. I'm not demeaning your pizzas. It's a statement of how good this one is. It's really good. So, if you want to find out, do it yourself, or come visit me, I'll cook you one. Cheers.